right at the beginning. So today's panel is specifically with some careers related to biomedical science and health services. So I'm going to allow our panelists today to introduce themselves, and I just got a list here. So we're going to start with Christine. If you want to introduce your name, your company, and then your position or title.
Hi, thanks. I'm Christine Jacobs with Children's Wisconsin, and I'm a child and family therapist, mental health.
All right, and then we have Carl Anthony.
Hi, my name is Carl Anthony. I am with Ascension All Saints here in Racine, and I am an athletic trainer with them.
All right, thank you. And then we have Latrell. I'm sorry, is it Yakel? I'll just say Latrell, and I'll let you pronounce your last name.
Good morning. My name is Latrell Yakel. I'm with Aurora Medical Center. I'll be the manager of ED services at the Mount Pleasant location, opening up in February.
Wonderful, thank you. And then we have Joe.
Yeah, I'm Joe Boxhorn. I'm a principal environmental planner at the Southeastern Wisconsin Regional Planning Commission.
All right, thank you and welcome everyone for joining today. Our first official question then is, what skills and education are needed in your specific career area? Just so the students kind of know what they might be getting themselves into if they're interested in that career. We'll start with Christine again.
Sure, thanks. So as a therapist, it's not, it's those soft skills that are really important. That term gets thrown around a lot. But I think that really is what it takes to get into a field like mental health. There are a range of opportunities for my particular field. To be a therapist, you most likely need a master's degree. So that meant 4 years of college and then 2 years post-college. So skill-wise or education-wise, I think it takes a stick-to-itiveness. You need to keep going in your education, keep taking those classes that line you up to get ready for college and beyond. So it doesn't have to happen all in one time, because that's a lot. Your school career can be exhausting. So to take breaks and enter the workforce and then go back to school is very much okay. And a lot of therapists do that. So just kind of keeping in mind a goal and following it through, taking those steps, keep going in your education. I'd say that in a general sense is some things that helped me get to where I am.
Thank you. We're going to stick to the same order. So I'll go to Carl next.
Sure. So for being an athletic trainer now, it definitely requires a master's degree. But like Christine had said, you can kind of break that up. I know a lot of people get their undergrad first and then kind of practice a little bit and then jump into it. As far as skills go, people skills is probably one of the big ones for being an athletic trainer. You have to be ready and willing to interact with lots of people on different backgrounds. And then you have to have some kind of interest in sports. I think that's a big one that people take for granted. If you're not as interested in sports as you used to be, or as you think you are, sometimes that can get daunting. So you're always around athletes for the most part. Obviously, athletic trainers are in other fields or in other positions as well, but being around sports is a big one. And then just having a passion for helping people and for like the human body, for anatomy, things like that. So that would be some of the skills is being able to think on the fly and then being able to interact with many people of different backgrounds.
All right, and then Latrell.
Okay, yes. So I'm a nurse. I have been a nurse for 18 years. So to become a nurse, you have to attend nursing school couple of avenues you can go down. You can go to school for 2 years to become an associate degree nurse, or you could attend college for 4 years and become a bachelor's degree nurse. I would say to enter the healthcare field, you would need to, one, have a passion to want to care for people, to and also have where you're interested in how the human body works. I will say that's a couple of the reasons why I became a nurse. Ever since I was a small child, I just always found myself wanting to play doctor, wanting to play nurse. I was always interested in how the human body, how we would be sick, and then we would eventually become better, and always was interested in how that exactly worked. So the beauty about nursing is that there's so many areas that you could work in. You could, once you complete your nursing degree, you have to sit for state licensure. So you'll take a test. Right now it's on the computer. You're given questions, you're given scenarios, and you have to answer so many of those correctly. And then you're issued a nursing license to practice in the state that you originally sat to take your state boards in. Then you can work in either a hospital, you can work in a clinic, you can even work in a school setting as a school nurse. I personally chose to go into the emergency department because that's my love. I love to handle all different type of emergencies, just not knowing what to expect when someone comes in with, some type of emergency, just jumping in there and helping and just implementing life-saving techniques. You can also go into, as a nurse, mother and baby, labor and delivery. You could take care of children. You could take care of the older population. So many areas to go into. And that's what I love about nursing.
Thank you. And then Joe?
I think there's probably more variety in terms of background and skills. I've got a doctorate in aquatic ecology, but I've got colleagues in the unit I work with who have either bachelor's or master's, and they range from geology, geography, biology, and civil engineering. For the sort of work I do, the really important skills are, one, you need a good background in the sciences because we deal with a variety of environmental issues. So physics, geology, biology, chemistry, that all feeds into it. You need good math skills, especially statistics, because we do a lot of data analysis and we do a lot of computer modeling to really determine the effects of potential solutions. You need to be able to write well and write for a variety of audiences. Everything we do ends up in written form, and I've written everything in the years I've been doing this, from 3-page letters to 1,500-page reports and in between. And you need to be able to speak in front of the public and get up and do public speaking, because we present our work to a variety of audiences, including county boards, city councils, advisory committees, and the general public. So, having that collection of skills, I also find it helps to be really versatile, because over the years I've been doing this, I've been thrown into topics I know absolutely nothing about, and you need to be able to be up to speed with it and understand it, sometimes within a few days or a couple of weeks.
All right, thank you. The next question is, what was your career pathway from high school to where you are now? And we'll just try and go in the same order.
Thanks. So I'm going to actually give you guys the answer to finding your future. You didn't know, and sorry to the rest of the panelists, that I have it all figured out. It's actually a formula. Nobody told me this when I was young, but it's true. And I think probably the other panelists will see it the same way. So it starts with your gifts. There are things inside that you're born with, personality traits and qualities that make you unique. Probably you might right now in life try to hide them, cover them up, maybe want to change them. You'll notice over time they don't go away. There are things about you that are just your essence. Those are your gifts. Thinking back, you might be able to remember when you were younger, the way you acted or behaved or personality wise. Keep that in mind. Think about things that have stuck with you from a young child till now. Those are your gifts. You're going to take your gifts and keep identifying them, keep noticing them. And then you're going to pay attention to your passions, things that you really like. And again, as where you are in life, you might be trying to figure that out. You might be checking out what friends are interested in and what they like. But you will notice over time that there are things that you liked as a young kid and you still like now, and then you like as an adult. Some things are just your passions. You just really know they are things that you feel really interested in, and they really are exciting to you. So notice your gifts, those things about your personality that make you special and unique. Take your passions, those things that you really like. And then you're going to add in your values. Yours are probably still developing. Values are beliefs, the way we think about the world and things that really matter. And you probably have some that you have always had. Sometimes values change. That's normal. So keep thinking about what matters to you, what beliefs are important to you. And this is all about you. So it's going to take some time, but notice your gifts. Make sure to pay attention to your passions. Consider your values. And that's going to take you to your calling, not just a job or a career. Eventually, you'll find out what you're meant to do, what you're meant to be. So that is very general. It doesn't say you have to go to college or get a job like this or that, but it's a roadmap to get you to your career.
All right, thank you. And then Carl?
Yeah, well, Christine nailed it on the head. I definitely agree with a lot of finding your passions. For me, I was, when I was in high school, I was very involved in sports. So when I was getting ready to figure out what I wanted to do with my career, I started looking down all the different avenues. At one point, I actually wanted to be an engineer, and obviously that's very different from what I do now. But I knew that for me, I didn't want to completely give up sports. I wanted to just always be involved. I thought maybe I'll coach. But then I said, well, maybe I want to do something a little bit more in depth. I spoke with my athletic trainer that was at my high school and picked their brain a little bit. I have family members that are physical therapists. I have family members that are in the healthcare field, and I just talked with a bunch of them. So I definitely encourage you, if you know anybody and anything that you're even remotely interested in, pick their brain. Us as professionals love talking about what we do for a living. So pick their brain, talk to them and ask them about what they want to do, or about what you want to do and what they did. For me, I opted against physical therapy school. I just found that it wasn't right for me. My passion, like I said, is mostly with sports, and I couldn't give up sitting or standing on the sideline. To me, I thought that was just the coolest thing. I get the best seat in the house of every game. Can't complain there. So that's kind of how I transitioned through. But like Christine said, start to pay attention to things you're passionate about, and just start asking questions. Ask questions to everybody. And on that, I would encourage all of you to go to your athletic trainer at your high school if you're even remotely interested in it, or just want to know more that I don't answer here today. There's one of us at every school. So go talk to them, pick their brain, see what they want to do, or what they did, see if there's something that you want to do.
And Latrell?
So I wish I could say that straight out of high school, I went into college to become a nurse. That is not the case. I did go to college straight out of high school with the intention of becoming a doctor, was taking classes, a lot of the sciences for pre-medicine, such as biology, chemistry, and classes of that sort. But I just didn't have, I guess, the real interest. And so I did end up leaving school and just kind of taking other jobs. One of the jobs I had was as a pharmacy technician with a family-owned business, a pharmacy. Their business eventually wasn't doing well, so they laid some people off. And unfortunately, I was one of the ones that was laid off. I then started working at Walmart. And while I was working at Walmart, I just knew that I was just meant to just take care of people. So a local hospital, I was living in Michigan at the time. So a local hospital was offering certified emergency nurse classes, emergency nursing assistant classes. Sorry about that. So I took a certified nursing assistant class, and which was 8 weeks long. And then I started working in a nursing home. And, enjoyed that, getting a lot of skills, getting to learn how to take care of people, helping them with feeding, helping them with bathing, just helping them get dressed for the day. But again, I just kept saying to myself, this is great, but this is just not where it ends for me. So I've always had a curiosity for the emergency department. Always used to just enjoy, that part of, again, people coming in, looking for help, and me jumping in to just do whatever is necessary to save their life. So I ended up talking to the director of nursing, who knew the manager of the emergency department at a sister hospital at that time. And so they both met, and that's how I transferred into being an emergency department tech in the emergency department there at a hospital in Michigan. And I loved every minute of it. I was doing EKGs, I was starting IVs, I was drawing blood. And I just knew at that point that I wanted to be an emergency department nurse. So I then actually ended up leaving Michigan to return back to Chicago, Illinois, where my family was from, because I ended up having a family, and I knew I wanted to go to nursing school, but I needed that support. So I enrolled in Chicago State University and completed 4 years and became a nurse. When I graduated as a nurse, I then entered a hospital in one of the suburbs of Chicago, first initially taking care of medical patients and patients who were diagnosed and who were dealing with cancer. So I did that for about a year. And because back in those days, a new nurse coming out of college could not enter into the emergency department. They wanted you to have some type of foundation on a medical floor first. So that's what I did. And then after that year, I transferred to the emergency department, which was a level 1 trauma center. So we saw, again, we were an emergency department that took care of motor vehicle accident patients, gunshot wounds, stabbings, you name it, we saw it. And just from there, I just continued on into the emergency department and emergency nursing. I've been a nurse now for 18 years. So, and I still enjoy every minute of it. So if I had any advice to give to any of you, you're in a great opportunity right now to figure out what was said earlier, what your gifts are, what you love doing, and how do you want to help others. And do not get discouraged if things happen, because sometimes life happens, it's not always how quickly you can finish the race. It's just that you end up finishing it and you end up where you want to be at the end.
Okay, I'm going to take a little different tack than the others. First of all, I'm not going to go back to high school. I'm 64 years old. It would be a long and tangled path, and we'd be here till Friday. To be quite honest, I fell into doing this work. When I was finishing grad school, I had a conversation at a meeting with a couple of the staffers here in the Lakes program. And about a month later, I got a call from one of them offering me a temporary job, a 4-month job working on a particular planning effort. They knew from that conversation that I had background in some of the issues that this plan had to deal with. I did the job. I did a good job with it at it, and then finished and went off to do other things. But I kept in touch with the staff that I was working with. A couple of years later, they needed to add staff for a big project that they were doing. They just did not have enough people to do it, and they didn't have enough people with the right skills to do it. And they asked me if I was interested. I came on staff here, and I've been here ever since. And I take a few lessons from that. First of all, opportunities are going to present themselves when they present themselves. They happen, and they happen on their own timeline, and you need to keep your eyes open for them. And if it's something you might be interested in doing, you need to jump on them when they present themselves. Other things is it really, I think it's important to try to stay on good terms with your previous employers. I mean, had I not worked here for 4 months, had the chief environmental engineer not known my work, I never would have been offered a permanent position here. They would have just put it to somebody else. It pays to keep in touch with colleagues when you work on jobs. And I think it's important to take every job you work seriously. Even those short-term, temporary, I'm doing it while I'm waiting for my real job sort of job. Because sometimes those are the things that will get you the career you actually want.
All right, thanks. Lots of good advice. And I think I'll kind of bring back to what Christine said in the beginning, right? And it all in your own way, you all identified what you liked, what you're good at, what your passions are, what your values are. And that evolves, right, as you grow older. But hopefully students that you're seeing that, we're just trying to give you that head start right now to discover, what do you like? What are you really good at? Because this is the time to kind of figure that out, that starting place in this game of life of, what road you even want to start on. So thank you for providing some of that information. Our next question is, what do you love about your career? So we'll go in the same order.
Yeah, so for sure, one of my passions is helping. And it's a passion and a gift. I've always, from a young age, just want to help. So it's basic, but it's something I get to do every day.
I think the biggest thing that I enjoy or that I love about my job is one, helping people. But if I'm being honest, I love being around athletes. My favorite thing about my job is the athletes looking to me for advice, or just coming by to say hi, making those connections, being a resource for young people like you guys, interacting every day, even if it's like not injury related, anything along those lines. Just really enjoy the variety of my job. Each day is something slightly different. It's never the exact same thing every single day. Some days are lighter than others, and other days I'm running around like a chicken with my head cut off. It really, I think that's my favorite, I guess my absolute favorite aspect of my job is that there's just so much variety.
And I would say for me, besides helping people, and again, how I just really enjoy how the human body works, the science behind the human body. And as I mentioned earlier, I'm now the manager. So as a nurse manager, I actually oversee the daily operations of how the emergency department works. And what I enjoy about doing that is that I'm a problem solver and I get to be a decision maker in that position. I get to come up with new ideas on how to improve how we take care of patients, and I get to implement those changes. So it's just a very rewarding experience for me.
Oh boy. What I do is I conduct studies and I write plans for preventing and cleaning up water pollution. And first of all, I like the variety of issues because it's a new issue every day. And the dullest thing in the world to me is thinking about the same specific problem every day, and so it offers a lot of variety. The other thing is it's a very difficult problem, and I really enjoy grappling with the difficulty of it. The fact is, we've been trying to clean up water pollution, clean up our waters for 50 years now. The things that were easy to do to address this, they were done in the 1980s and the 1970s. We're left really working on the hard parts, and that requires a lot of thought, a lot of creativity, and it's just very challenging in some cases, even just figuring out what's going on in some of these systems. And I live for that sort of challenge.
Right. And then our last question is just, what advice would you have for our students who are listening today?
So as you're figuring out who you're going to be, who you're meant to be, it's going to take time. So my advice is to always have a goal, something you're working on. For me, my goal was to go to college. I had no idea what I was going to do in college or what I was going to do after college. But the goal of going to college and getting a college degree was important to me and my family. So I just worked on that goal. So always have something that you're working on. If you aren't sure, you might look to family for advice about what's a good goal, and just identify the pathway to get to your goal, those little steps that'll get you there, and make sure you have the right information, the right thoughts and feelings and motivation. That's called agency, so that you really want to work toward that goal. So something you're working on, a way to get there, and make sure it really feels like you want to do it. And then when you reach that goal, do another one. Life is long, good and bad. The good side is you've got lots of time. The bad side is you've got to keep working at it. Life keeps going. So even when you feel like you've reached something, there's more life to live. So keep working, identify another goal.
I think biggest piece of advice I can give is don't run away when it gets tough. I think everybody here has faced some sort of adversity or some sort of challenge along their career, along their pathway of getting to their career. So things will get tough, but there's always something on the other side of that challenge. There's always something better to come. Sometimes it takes longer to get there than you would think or than others, but you can't compare yourself to how others are going about their career path or going about moving forward. You just have to really put your head down and keep pushing forward. Things will come, and find something that you're passionate about.
Some advice, I think, is what I kind of said earlier is, again, don't get discouraged when, life takes its different twists and turns. It's just life, embrace it, but stay focused. I think it's already been said, identify what you want to do and just don't give up. Don't give up until you reach your goal. Life, you have a lot of life ahead of you guys. You're young, you're coming out of high school. Just figure out what you want to do and just work towards that goal, and don't worry about what others may say and what others may do. Some may finish before you. Others may appear successful, but the only thing is that you can't measure success by looking at someone else. It's how you end up feeling inside about yourself when it's all over and done with. So just stay on the course, guys. And also too, if you have someone, if you're looking into going into the healthcare field, whether as a nurse or, a doctor, nursing assistant, phlebotomist, if you know someone that's in those fields, definitely connect with them, ask questions, see if you can do a job shadow with them to see if that's something that you really can see yourself doing.
Well, stay focused on your goal, but don't do it to the exclusion of getting a broad background as you get your education, because what you're going to find when you get out into your career is it's not just about the things that you focused on for getting your career. And a lot of those other things are going to be important and be very useful in your career and in your life. I've already mentioned I'm a scientist doing applied work, but I find that knowledge of things like political science, knowledge of things like writing and things like that, those different skills that you don't pick up in the science class have been very important in my career and in the careers of the people around me. So focus on your goal, but don't have your focus be so narrow that you only pick up skills and knowledge that you think are related to that goal, because there's going to be a lot of other things that will turn out to be important and that will be very useful ultimately in doing the work you want to do.
All right, so we're going to open it up to questions. We're just wrapping up here. If students, I'm in the theater here with a bunch of students. If anybody in here has questions, if anybody in the classes that are listening have questions, feel free to type in the chat or unmute. We'll leave it open for just a couple minutes here. I have one question in the theater for Carl is how long does it take to get a sports medicine degree? I don't know if that's what you specifically have, but do you know that?
So my degree is actually specifically in athletic training. There are a lot of avenues you can take, but now it is required to have a master's in athletic training to become an athletic trainer. And then once you have completed that coursework, you do have to sit for a certification exam. And then once you have that certification exam, you can pretty much work in any state as long as you have the licensure for that state. So I passed the boards, the certification exam, just right out of college. And then you have to apply for the licensure, and I'm licensed only in Wisconsin right now. And then you have to keep up that certification over throughout your career.
Great, thank you. Any other questions? Over here, what's your question? Sorry, this is a good question. I don't know if we have time for everybody to answer, but if anybody wants to address the question of the types of pressures that you have in your job and how you deal or overcome with some of those pressures.
I can go answer that one. So for me, being on the sideline during athletic events, you're, I guess, pressured to sometimes make certain calls or make certain judgments for allowing an athlete to play or not allowing an athlete to play. You really can receive pressures from parents, from coaches, from pretty much you name it. The biggest, I guess, challenge is sticking to your guns, or really what you're when you know, like, you have to be able to say, hey, no, this is not happening, or no, they can't play, or things like that. So I think everybody has slightly different pressures or different challenges that they have to overcome. That would probably just be the biggest one that I have to deal with on a daily basis.
Navigating the politics of the solution. What we are charged to do in our efforts are come up with technically sound solutions to problems, but at the same time, they have to be things that are acceptable both for the local communities and for the local political bodies. And that's not always an easy thing to put together.
Thanks. Sorry, I had one more question for you, Joe, on what types of things you're doing for water pollution and how effective it is.
Oh boy, it goes all over the place. I'm a planner. Basically, I develop plans that then other people go and put into action, and our plans are all advisory. So, for instance, we are looking at various sort of things that can be installed to reduce particular pollutants. You'll see them on in communities. You'll see things like stormwater ponds. You'll see things like rain gardens. You'll see things like rain barrels and things like that are all intended to reduce that. We're also looking at trying to talk communities into trying some innovative sorts of practices. For instance, use of certain fungi in rain gardens and other sorts of things that may be able to kill certain bacteria that cause diseases and things like that. I'm also working heavily on a study on increasing chloride, which probably is going to result in having to figure out other ways to keep roads clean during the winter than dumping salt on them. So.
Wonderful, thank you. I know we're a little bit past time here, so we're going to go ahead and wrap up. But students, if you had more questions, feel free to share with your teachers, and we can try and get those addressed moving forward too. But I want to thank all of our panelists for joining today. Thank you so much for taking the time out to help educate our freshmen about all these different careers that are available in health and biomedical sciences. And everyone at CASE really appreciates your time today, so thank you.
Thank you. It was really nice being here.
Yeah,
Thanks.
thank you very much.
Thank you.